there. Today's episode of the Maintenance Mindset Minute is brought to you by AppWork. Now, AppWork does more than make some awesome coffee cups that keeps my necessary brew hot for long periods of time. AppWork actually makes a tool and an app that is used by maintenance techs on site to help get better. And by that, I mean that administrators of the AppWork system can actually limit or point or direct different trades to or away from maintenance technicians. And one of the ways that this can be done as a tool is you have a maintenance technician, for instance, that's not very strong in plumbing. Well, then what you can do through the system is ensure that that particular maintenance technician doesn't get any plumbing work orders. Instead, they're directed to the maintenance supervisor, where the maintenance supervisor, whenever he gets a plumbing work order that's assigned to him, he can automatically know that he needs to grab that technician who's not quite strong in plumbing and take him with him. It's a fantastic tool that can actually help save problems and develop the team overall. Now, for today's Tool Talk episode of the Maintenance Mindset Minute, I'd like to talk about a tool that we kind of take for granted quite a bit, and that is a razor knife. Now, razor knives are extremely useful, but they do have a couple of problems. One of the problems that they have is that the blade wears out very quickly. For instance, if you've ever done any carpet work, a stereotypical razor knife blade wears out after one or two cuts. Therefore, needing to change the blade is a necessary hazard. So you got to carry a bunch of blades with you, and changing the blades out on several of them, kind of like this one, is a little bit irritating. Now, I got to be honest, the tool that I'm talking about today, the irritation is worth it. Now, the irritating part for me is I am not a fan of a tool that requires me to use other tools to use it. Specifically, hand tools. Now, I can understand power tools for some of the torques, like replacing a saw blade. You need another tool in order to loosen the blade holder and the threads down. But for a basic hand tool, I'm not a fan of having to use other tools in order to change a blade. And many razor knives require you to do just that in order to change the blade. This happens to be a particular razor knife by a company called Slice. It is a razor knife that is actually classified as a safety knife. Now, it's still a knife. It will still cut you. So use care and use caution, just like we would with any and all other sharp objects. In this case, though, they solved that first irritation by placing on the back side of the razor knife this holder, which holds extra blades. Now, the other thing that I really, really like about the particular Slice knife is the type of blade that it's made to work with, and that is this. Now, for those of you who are seeing on video, what you're seeing is a razor knife blade that's white instead of metal. And yes, it is that way for a purpose. You see, the reason why that's important is this is a ceramic razor knife blade. And the reason why that's important is this sucker lasts. With a typical or standard steel or metal razor knife blade, you get 1 to 2 cuts out of carpeting. I was doing some work here recently in my house, and I had to cut some carpet and change it around to make it fit in a different place in my office. And I used this knife all day. This particular blade right here got used multiple times, and it's still, to use the terminology, razor sharp. The other really cool thing about this particular knife blade that comes with the slice knife is that the end is curved. It doesn't come to a really sharp point. And I'll try and put this up next to the camera so that when you're looking at it, you can see that that end right there is actually a curved end. And what that means is you actually have to work harder in order for the point or the tip to cut you. Now, if I was, don't try this at home, kids or adults. If I was to take a regular razor knife and point it against my hand and apply the same amount of pressure that I am right now with a typical razor knife, I'd have to clean up the inside of my truck. So it is a benefit. Oh, one last thing, which is really cool about the slice knife, and probably the biggest reason why I like it, is because the latch is spring loaded, meaning that I have to apply my thumb to the back side of the handle in order for the blade to be deployed. If I release it, the blade goes in safely to where it doesn't cut me. Now, other razor knives, I have to think about a lot because you go to make a cut on a board or tape or carpet or drywall, and you have to physically press down on the handle and push it back in. This one is automatic. And with the fact that one of the most common injuries for our maintenance techs on site is cuts, scrapes, and lacerations, a tool like this is brilliant and wonderful. I'll be honest. I wish I would have had one of these when I was on site. And the reason why is the number of, scars that I happen to have on my fingers and my thumbs because of using a razor knife. So this episode's not sponsored by Slice or any tools for that matter, with the exception of AppWork. Head over to appworkco.com and check out their offerings. Check out their system. Check out the reporting that they have and can provide your teams, which as a tool can assist in their progress and on your overall performance. Thanks again for joining me in this episode of the Maintenance Mindset Minute Tool Talk. I'll see you somewhere.